Hello guys, welcome back to Archive Ryzen. In this video, I'm gonna talk about KATYA KLEIN deep explanation, her weapon and logistic comparison.
自己紹介が必要。KATYA KLEIN それだけ。
So KATYA KLEIN is a crossbow user that can deal frost elemental damage, and she is very agile operative that you can always reposition your character so far and so fast. Because she can always use double dodge by dodging and followed by using standard skill, you can dodge so far and fast to avoid getting hit by the enemy. And because reusing her standard skill doesn't consume skill energy at all, you can always do this combo anytime you want. And also because of her unique dodge animation, you can even dash through obstacle without getting blocked. So you don't need to worry about some elite enemy or boss that can deploy some object to block you because you can always dash through it without any problem. And also because she is a crossbow weapon user, crossbow weapon can switch between single fire mode or normal mode and volley fire mode or special mode. By pressing reload button, you can switch to special mode that the crossbow will fire 5 bolts at once into a feint shape. Or you can switch to single shot where her crossbow will only fire 1 shot at a time in a high fire rate. In case you want to change your crossbow mode in the middle of the battle, you can change it more faster by pressing reload and followed by dodge or standard skill. So you can change her crossbow mode more faster in this case. Talking about crossbow, crossbow is an entirely new type of weapon in this game that doesn't deal crit damage at all. Even if you are shooting at the enemy weak spot or non-weak spot, the result will be the same that they won't deal crit damage. But if you are shooting at the weak spot, it will still count as you are shooting the weak spot. So you can still trigger any buff that requires shooting the enemy weak spot. And also, crossbow weapon have a unique optimal range that the closer the enemy, the lower your shooting damage will become. That the crossbow shooting damage will start reducing when the enemy is around 10 meters or closer. So if you want to use KATYA KLEIN, make sure to always stay away from the enemy. And also because crossbow weapon can't deal crit damage, this mechanism can make KATYA KLEIN become quite suitable for mobile phone players. Because all you need is to make sure your shot hit the enemy. It doesn't require you to shoot at the weak spot anymore. As long as it hit, it hit. When you're using her standard skill, she will dash to any direction based on your movement direction. So you can control her dash direction as you wanted. And after that, she will root down to the position, so you can't move KATYA anymore. You can only cancel the standard skill state by dodging, using the standard skill again, or by pressing reload button to change the crossbow mode. But it's highly recommended to use dodging instead, because by using dodge, you can immediately reset the standard skill cooldown, so you can reuse her standard skill again after dodge. In her standard skill state, her fire mode will based on her current crossbow mode that can't be changed by any buff or debuff. For example, in this footage, you can see that Fanny Cornet support skill can increase fire rate, but when she in her standard skill state, her fire rate will be the same even after Fanny Cornet support skill effect runs out. And besides that, she will get increased all type resistance by 15%. That means it can increase her elemental resistance, so she can increase her survivability in her standard skill state. Also, her interruption resistance will increase, that she will become an immovable object to every enemy hit. And the best part about her standard skill is her fire rate will significantly increase, that make her standard skill become her main power. But in her standard skill state, her skill energy regeneration will stop and will consume 0.5 skill energy each shot. If you didn't have enough skill energy to consume, she will also exit the standard skill state automatically. And the downside about her standard skill is her final shot damage will decrease, destructible object damage will also decrease, and also her ultimate energy gain will decrease. But don't worry too much about this downside, because the way her standard skill can significantly increase her fire rate, able to compensate all this downside. Her support skill is simple. When she uses her support skill, she will jump up and shoot a powerful shot to a target in front that will explode when come in contact with the target, and deal AoE frost damage to every nearby target within the AoE range, while also apply frozen effect to every enemy hit. And then KATYA will getting pushed backward by the shooting recoil. So this support skill is very good when you want to distancing your character from the enemy, while it also able to freeze every enemy hit, so it can act as a crowd control skill. And if you upgrade her support skill can also be used when your character getting hit by control debuff in order to dispelling the control debuff. While for her ultimate skill, when she uses her ultimate skill, she will fire a tracking bolt on a target that will keep dealing AoE frost elemental damage over time to every enemy within range. And also, the AoE range will keep following the first target until the target defeat. And if you upgrade her ultimate skill even further, the skill can even slowing the enemy movement speed and inflict frozen effect after the enemy getting hit by the DOT for 10 times. This one is a very useful ultimate skill for KATYA clan because KATYA clan are not very suitable for close combat or even getting surrounded by the enemy. So if you ever getting surrounded by the enemy, you can just use the ultimate skill and freeze every enemy so you can start shooting them one by one. This ultimate skill can also deal a very huge amount of damage that can defeat every small mobs in the range. For her Devos skill, her shot have 35% chance to deal additional 35% of her attack plus 200 as frost elemental damage, and increased by 7% for each 100 alignment index. This one is really very useful to increase her damage because she's our first operative that can shot a lot of time in a very fast speed. So the chance to trigger this Devos skill will be very high. So this Devos skill will almost like a crit damage for her. While for her manifestation 1 is very useful for her because this is the only passive that can increase her standard skill fire rate by 25% maximum. But you will need to keep shooting in order to maintain the effect stack, because if you stop shooting, the effect stack will decrease by 5 stacks per second, and it will decrease by half of the current stack when you are getting hit by the enemy, so it is quite hard to maintain this manifestation 1 effect. You can see this effect stack above the skill energy. For her manifestation 2 is not really that useful. It can increase the damage deal to destructible object by 30%, and also if your shot hit destructible object, it can restore 0.2 skill energy each shot. While for her manifestation 3 is quite useful for her because it can decrease her dodge stamina cost to 40 and also can make us more easier to maintain the manifestation 1 effect stack, that the effect stack won't decrease for 3 seconds after dodge. While for her manifestation 4 is not really that effective, even though it can increase the final damage of her standard skill state by 2%, but that is really a small amount, and also is only applied for normal mode shot. That means this effect only active when your crossbow are set to normal mode in the standard skill state. So if you are in special mode, this effect won't active. Also for manifestation 5, this one is quite useful because it can increase your alignment index by 165 when there is no enemy within 100 meter. This 165 alignment index can increase your Devos skill damage ratio by 11.55%. So most of all, her manifestation is not really game changer for her. All you need is to reach manifestation 1 and she will be ready to go. And reaching until her manifestation 3 will make you more easier because you can dodge even more time before you run out of stamina after you reach her manifestation 3. And the next one is her weapon comparison. Here is the calculation for comparing Neptune Nova Tier 1 with Alpine Genshin Tier 5. I won't explain much about this calculation because I already out of my voice. The differentiation between Neptune Nova and Alpine Genshin is Neptune Nova can provide elemental damage by 18% and also 24% attack percent buff, while Alpine Genshin can only provide 50% ballistic damage buff. The data for this calculation is a max out KATYA clan manifestation 2 that her logistic talent have 40% attack percent increment and 11.8% elemental damage increment. And here is the damage per shot from both weapons. For normal mode, the damage will be in here, and while for special mode, the damage will be in here. So you can see the comparison between them. And if we are continuously shooting using this crossbow, or it called sustain DPS, the damage will be in here. And the difference sustained DPS between both of them is about almost 10%. But keep in mind this one haven't include her Devos skill, so you can ignore this number. Also, for KATYA KLEIN skill, this standard skill in here haven't include her Devos skill, so you also can't use this number to compare both of these weapons. But from this number, you can see that her standard skill DPS is really higher than her normal shot sustained DPS. So this able to prove that her significantly increased fire rate able to compensate the final damage decrease from her standard skill. While for the support skill and ultimate skill, you can see that both of them have a very significant difference because Neptune Nova can provide attack and elemental damage, where both of that buff can increase the support skill and ultimate skill damage. While for the Genshin Impact can only provide ballistic damage that can only affect the shooting damage, so her support skill and ultimate skill won't be able to get any benefit from the weapon skill. And here is the standard skill calculation that you can use for compare between both of these weapons, because this one I already include the Devos skill damage. First, this is the standard skill fire rate improvement after she reached manifestation 1. Her normal mode can shoot 10 times per second, while for special mode can shoot 5 times per second. When she using Neptune Nova tier 1, she can shoot 125 shots until the skill energy runs out. While for Alpine Genshin, she can shoot 100 times until the skill energy runs out. Because the Devos skill only have 35% chance to trigger the additional frost damage, so to put it simple, for example for Neptune Nova, there will be 35% chance from the 125 shot, so the result is 43.75 shot that able to trigger the Devos skill. While for the Alpine Genshin, there will be 35% chance from the 100 shot, so it will be 35 shot that able to trigger the Devos skill. So the total damage from the Devos skill after shooting for 125 or 100 times will be like this for each weapon, and the total damage after shooting for 125 or 100 times plus the Devos skill damage will be like this. So the total sustained DPS from her standard skill will be like this. You can see that the differentiation between both of the weapon that is about 30% for both modes. And also from this total sustained DPS, you can see that even though she can't deal crit damage, her single target sustained DPS still higher than Chensing Ethereal Cloud or Lethal Wild Hunt sustained DPS. The number in this sustained DPS for Chensing Ethereal Cloud is only for single target only. But if you compare KATYA KLEIN against Chensing Ethereal Cloud, when Chensing Ethereal Cloud can target multi-target enemy, Chensing Ethereal Cloud still unbeatable in here. I get this calculation below by using the DPS calculator made by Pep Penguin. You can also try to use this DPS calculator for comparing more operative, the link in the description. So the conclusion from this calculation is that she is a signature weapon dependent, while for the second conclusion is her sustained DPS for single target enemy is higher than most operative. So if you still hesitate to pulling for her because you thinking that she might not be able to deal high damage because she can't deal crit damage, here is the calculation proof. Well, that is only from the calculation, it's not really can represent the actual condition when you using her. The actual condition is might be more chaotic because you will need to dodge many times when you using her. While for her logistic skill, I only have one thing to say. For both of her weapon and logistic skill, in order to maintain their skill effect, it is highly recommended to use dodging when you want to reposition her in combat situation, because dodging can refresh the logistic skill effect duration. Also, dodging can maintain the weapon skill effect stack. While for the logistic comparison, Elite Squad is really highly recommended among all of them, because Elite Squad can increase attack percent and also elemental damage buff, where both of that can increase the shooting damage, support skill damage, ultimate skill damage, and her Devos skill damage. While for Mizuho Squad and Amano Iwato Squad can only increase ballistic damage, while the ballistic damage buff can only increase the shooting damage. So the benefit you get from increasing the ballistic damage is lower than increasing the attack or elemental damage buff. While for the logistic talent priority, for the Elite Squad, Attack percent have the highest priority. For the second is alignment index. And if you didn't manage to get both of that combination, skill energy recovery can become the third priority. And if you doesn't manage to find the combination between attack, alignment index or skill energy recovery, you can at least get the defense increment, max HP increment or ultimate energy recovery. Just don't ever use the crit rate or crit damage talent for her. But for the third talent priority will be frost elemental damage. I hope these videos can change your mind if you still don't want to pull for KATYA KLEIN. And for everyone who already get KATYA KLEIN, you should be proud for yourself because you are already able to bring home a very good operative and a very good waifu. I think that's all for me. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Cheers.